Hey, it's Tesla Canuck. I'm back with another video. I'm here in my new studio, which is the back of my Model 3. So I've got a lot more space than when I'm up front. You know, there's more space to get things done, you know, like making a video. Yes. Okay, so here's what I've got for you today. A friend of mine was looking at buying the Honda Accord Sport 2.0. And so anyhow, I got into a discussion with him and I'm like, well, why don't you just get the Tesla Model 3? And so he says to me, well, the Tesla, that's $10,000 more, right? And I said to him, actually, it's about $3,000 less. And so let me explain why this is the case. It's been a while since I've done some kind of an analysis video, so I wanted to really crunch the numbers here and explain to my friend how he could have a Tesla Model 3 for less money than a Honda Accord Sport 2.0. Now you're probably wondering, well, you know, how is this possible? You know, there's a $10,000 price difference, at least in Canada. You know, I'm sure it's going to be somewhat similar, you know, anywhere around the world where these two cars are competing. So basically, what I was talking to him about and what I want to talk to you about today, and this video is really for folks who are looking at buying a Tesla Model 3. And also if you're just an aficionado and you want to know more about the Model 3, maybe you already have one. I mean, this video is for you too, but I really want to gear it towards those people who are trying to make a buying decision because I think I can help them. So feel free to bail if you are not interested in this video. If you are interested because maybe you're thinking about buying or for whatever reason, please view on. I'll give you a spoiler alert. So basically what I'm doing is I'm doing a 5-year total cost of ownership approach to prove out that the Tesla Model 3 is cheaper than the Honda Accord Sport 2.0 2019. So the net is that the Tesla at a 5-year TCO is going to be $2,247 cheaper over 5 years than the Honda Accord Sport 2.0. All right, so there's the spoiler. If you want to know the details, we're going to dive into it right now. I've got my trusty spreadsheet. Let's take a look. All right, so we're looking right now here just basically at the summary. So as I mentioned, we've got a net positive over 5 years for the Tesla Model 3 purchase. Keep in mind that this is the base model. When you look at how they compare, you know, there's going to be differences, but in balance, I think that they are fairly equal. And so that's the basis of the assumption anyhow. So let's take a look at the pricing. So I grabbed a couple of screen captures and you can see that the Tesla Model 3 is 47,600 Canadian dollars. That's the base price of the cheapest Model 3 that you can buy right now in Canada. And the Honda Accord 2019 Sport 2.0, we've got it 36,176. Let's start with looking at fuel consumption because that's going to be a key part in the analysis in the 5-year TCO. So we're going to look at fuel consumption. We're going to look at energy consumption when it comes to the Model 3. All right, so looking at the fuel, straight from the manufacturer, they are saying that the owner can expect a mixed, so combined city highway driving mileage of 9.2 liters per 100 kilometers. I'll have to figure out what that is in miles per gallon. So the other key assumptions, if we're looking at the spreadsheet here, is that the person, you know, my friend, they do about 2,000 kilometers a month. Okay, so that's great. And looking at the average price of gasoline right now, at least in Ontario, Canada, where I live, is somewhere in the neighborhood of I don't know, it's about between $1.20 and $1.30 or something. But I made the assumption of $1.40 for this analysis because you know, we're one hurricane away from gas prices being, you know, $2 per liter. So I'm trying to make some reasonable assumptions here. So on average, $1.40 over the next 5 years, I think that's pretty realistic. So basically the cost of gasoline for my friend would be 258 Canadian dollars per month with an annual cost of 3,091. All right, let's see how that compares to the energy consumption of the Model 3 and cost, and then we'll dive right into the details of the TCO. Okay, so now looking at the energy consumption, again, we've got the same kilometers driven, so we've got 2,000 kilometers driven. The average cost of electricity per kilowatt here in Ontario, Canada, if you charge overnight, is less than 10 cents per kilowatt, but just to be prudent, you know, again, because costs could go up or that type of stuff, and so I've assumed 10 cents average over the next 5 years. And that includes the rate, the delivery, the taxes, everything all in for that energy. Okay, the next thing I looked at was the rated manufacturer efficiency. So Tesla says 150 watt hour per kilometer. I'll have to figure out what that is in, you know, imperial system. And so basically I converted that to kilowatt hour per kilometer just so that it kind of aligns with how energy is priced here in Ontario, Canada. It's priced per kilowatt. And that's probably going to be fairly standard across the board. So basically, you can expect an energy efficiency of 0.15 kilowatt hour per kilometer with the Tesla Model 3. So basically what that equates to is a monthly electricity cost of $30 so on your bill, and an annual cost of electricity of $360. Okay, as you're probably thinking right now, I mean, this plays a key part in the TCO analysis and why the Tesla Model 3 is going to come out on top. But let's dive further into the details. Okay, now we're looking at the actual 5-year TCO. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to share this spreadsheet, and feel free to make a copy of it. You can actually, in any of the yellow highlighted cells, you can change any of the details. If you're thinking about another car, you want to see how that might compare with the Model 3, you can use the spreadsheet for that. And you know, if anyone finds an error in the spreadsheet, I'm only human, let me know about it. Okay, so looking at the analysis here, the acquisition cost you can see for the Tesla Model 3 is going to be substantially more than the acquisition cost of the Accord Sport 2.0. And also too, I mean, I tacked on another $600 here for the NEMA 1450, which is basically the cheapest, kind of reasonably quick charging solution that you can get. So around here anyhow, it's about $600 to have that installed. And then of course we've got our nasty taxes, which I've also included here as well. Now, one thing that I didn't do is I didn't look at any additional options like enhanced autopilot or any other options that might be available on that Accord Sport 2.0 sedan. So that's where our starting point is from an acquisition cost. If we scroll here and we look at the costs over the next 5 years, so gasoline obviously is the biggest cost. There's no doubt about that. That's a big contributor into why over a number of years it's going to be cheaper to own a Tesla Model 3. So, you know, we've got the electricity costs here. We've got, so brakes, because of regenerative braking, the Tesla brakes last a long time. I mean, you can see all sorts of, you know, there's videos on YouTube or whatever, but, you know, you are not on your brakes like you are with a regular car. And we're seeing that some, you know, Tesla owners are going 5 years without having to have their brakes done. So anyhow, so I've put, you know, brakes for the fossil car, the Honda Accord, because, you know, after 80,000 kilometers, you're going to need your brakes done. Oil change and maintenance, and I got this $220 cost directly from Honda's website. So this is the cost of their oil change and maintenance package, at least in the first year. It does go up in subsequent years because more work is done, but I've left it flat at $220. So if anything, that's an advantage. I think these costs will actually be much higher with the Honda Accord, but trying to be generous here. And then other costs, I really couldn't think of any, to be honest with you. I'm going to assume that both in this example here, the Tesla Model 3 and the Honda Accord are going to be not built on a Friday. They're going to be solid. You know, not going to be having any problems over the next 5 years, just to keep things simple. But, you know, anything can go wrong with any car at any time. The Model 3 does have a lot less moving parts than a fossil car like the Honda Accord, so chances are this is actually being generous towards the Honda in this analysis, and that's okay. All right, so moving on. So we already looked at the summary before, and again, so it's the ongoing costs of that Accord Sport 2.0 that is driving up the cost so that it exceeds the cost of the Tesla Model 3 over 5 years. So again, the net result over 5 years, you're going to be better off by $2,247 by buying the Tesla Model 3. This is what I told my friend. I shared the spreadsheet with him. Pretty sure he's going to make a buying decision pretty soon in favor of the Tesla Model 3. Now, there's one more thing that I want to talk about that I think is important to talk about when you look at this type of analysis. So it's what I call the intangibles. So if you look at the Tesla Model 3, you're going to get regular software updates. Your car is going to get better over time. And that's simply not going to happen with the Accord. We know that the traditional automobile manufacturers are really behind when it comes to delivering a better product over time as you own it, because that's in direct contradiction to their business model, which is they don't want to give you anything so that you come back and you buy another car from them in 4 or 5 years, right? And speaking of which, the 5-year TCO is actually generous too, because the average person, at least in North America, holds on to their car for 7 to 8 years. So chances are you're going to have a much higher rate of return on the Tesla Model 3 than you see here in the 5-year analysis. So if you go out another couple of years, you're probably into maybe 10,000 or more in terms of being better off with the Tesla Model 3. Another advantage is you can buy enhanced autopilot after the fact. So you don't have to buy it right now. If you decide you want it down the road, a couple of years, whatever, you can always buy it. The Tesla Model 3 is going to have way superior performance. So again, another huge intangible here. Your 0 to 100 kilometer or 60 mile an hour performance is going to be much better. Your acceleration, handling, everything's going to be better with that Tesla Model 3. And then the last intangible that I have here is the impact on the planet, which personally I think is a huge thing. There might be some others out there that don't think it's a huge thing, but Ontario, Canada, we get the majority, like 99% or something of our electricity from clean sources. I think the last coal-fired energy electrical station was mothballed a while ago. So it's, for the most part, it's all clean, which means that every time you fill up your battery with electrons, you are doing that in a way that is not harming the environment versus pumping petrol into your fossil vehicle. I know that's going to bring the haters. That's just the way I see it. So it'll be interesting to see what happens in the comments. All right. So that's basically it. What do you think? If you were in this position, would you buy the Honda Accord or the Tesla Model 3? Let me know in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe. Tesla Canuck, over and out.